3 videos, 3 days. I'm actually on vacation. I go back to work next week, so the consistent output is probably going to end very soon for the handful of you that actually watch these videos. But with the few days that I do have left, I'm going to try and get as much information out there, just because I really feel like a lot of the things that I've been taught by my sifus, the things that I've learned, can help a lot of people out and get to a better place in their skill development a lot quicker than maybe I did. So I am a good guy. Today's video, we're going to talk about the first section of Siu Lim Tao. There's been a lot done, a lot said about the form, typically breaking down each motion, and a lot of what you learn at first is going to be, I guess, just rote memorization of each motion, and then hopefully you get to the point where you're comfortable in terms of the fluidity, of sequencing everything. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about all that stuff just because it's been done. I don't want to say what's already been said. Keep in mind that some of the things that I've discussed in the other 2 videos with stance and punch, you want to carry that over to when you start doing Siu Lim Tao. In the stance, we talk about maintaining your vertical. With the punch, we're talking about positioning as well as correct hand tension. And so you want to build off of that as opposed to looking at Siu Lim Tao as just a separate entity, because it's all related, it's all connected. With this first section, I want to talk about rotations and of the arm and hand tension, or wrist tension, actually, with all those different positions. So let's start with one of the first motions. After you do that opening, which is basically sub-G style, roll, pull back, you do a punch. And the next motion after that is an open palm. From the open palm, you rotate to a horizontal fist. That rotation is very important because, again, the tendency that people will have that they won't be aware of is if you just rotate with the hand, you're going to get a lot of tightness right here in the wrist. So in order to be able to let that go, turn with the entire arm from the shoulder. And when you do that, you'll actually feel balance in the tension from the wrist to the elbow to the shoulder. All right? That's going to carry over when you start working on those 3 mother motions. So just to reference, those 3 mother motions are Tan, inside line, Fuk Sao, neutral line, and Wu Sao, which is outside line. So let's say I finish my first Tan Zao. First Tan Zao is, I would say, reference points to be aware of is having your middle finger in your center line. Fingers together, hand is flat, called like a beggar's palm. I know some lines do like an angle upward, and maybe there's a little bit more of an extension, but with this, elbow in front of the body, palm flat, and then middle finger in the center. All right? I'm begging for likes, I'm begging for shares, I'm begging for subscribers. How's that for a shameless plug? All right, back to the subject. So from Tan Zao, you're going to rotate to Wu. And again, if I just rotate with the wrist, tightness. But if I rotate my forearm, I actually feel balance in all those 3 key points. All right. So with this, remember for certain reference points, I would say middle finger again is in your center line. Palm is actually slightly turned out. It's not perpendicular to the body, at least not yet. It does become perpendicular to the body when you move the Wu Sao back and you're in that minimum position where the body can still support the technique. All right. But you want to start with the palm slightly out. When I do that rotation from Tan Zao to Wu, when I do the forearm rotation, it actually puts me in place in that outside line. Because anytime that you're working on one of these motions and doing the transition, I think most people tend to look at it like my elbow has to be immovable, right? it stays in this fixed position, but that's not actually correct. Again, anytime that it's not a natural motion or a natural movement, then you're becoming tight, too much tension, and that leads to using more muscle than you need. All right. So I'm going to turn to the side just so you can kind of see it from this angle. I'm in Tanzao, and then I rotate the forearm to Wu. You can kind of see that my elbow goes in to out, still within my shoulder line. Okay. From this angle, I pull back, and then the finish is a little bit perpendicular to the body. All right. From here, Wusa, I drop down the foot with the same forearm rotation here. And that allows me to keep the top of my hand flat. And reference points with this are fingers together, thumb is in between the index finger and the middle finger. And then the back of my palm is actually what is in my center line. And this is where we are neutral line. Let's see, what else do I have for this? Okay, so let's talk about the opposite side. So you have one side that's in motion, then you have the other side that's just stationary. Okay, what do you do with this? Well, another thing that you're going to end up seeing, or that you might be aware of, is you put so much focus on one side that you start to lose focus and balance on the stationary side. So this becomes lazy, right? It's not in that position that we talked about with the stance, where shoulder forward, elbow back, and then the forearm is parallel to the ground. You have to maintain that, and what this actually does is it balances out the squareness of the body. We talked a little bit about the squareness when it came to doing the punch. No different with this. You're working on one side, but the body has to stay square. In the punch, the common mistake that people make is overturning, right? That's an exaggeration, but even the slight amount is off. So I use this side here, the stationary side, to make sure that I keep myself square and balanced as I'm doing, the left hand. All right, so hopefully those tips help you out, help you become a little bit more aware in terms of what you're trying to develop within that first section. Second video that I'm going to do for Siu Lim Tao is going to involve the second section, so that'll be coming soon. All right, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next time.